boxing world, and welcome back to Fantasy Bout Hour, the channel dedicated to bringing you fantasy matchups on a regular basis. If there's a particular matchup you want me to cover, please leave it in the comment section, and I promise to honor your request. Please consider subscribing. Please share these videos. I thank you for being here. Well, let's jump right into Canelo Alvarez versus Jermall Charlo. This is a fight that a lot of fans want to see. A lot of fans feel that Canelo is ducking Jermall Charlo, and that's highly debatable, in my opinion. A lot of people feel that Jermall is deserving of the fight. And for me, I just want to see good fights, good, solid fights. I'm not into the whole undefeated craze. If two fighters are in there and they give their best and they show that warrior heart, I mean, that's all I want to see. I mean, we're too caught up in records. We're too caught up in the undefeated thing, and hopefully that will die down. I'm not too hopeful about it. But Canelo Alvarez versus Jermall Charlo. About a year or two ago, let's say 2 years ago, this would have been a great fight, an intriguing fight. But I must say, and let me give you this disclaimer, I'm a big fan of both Charlo brothers. And honestly, you can't talk about one without talking about the other. And so, but I'm a big fan of both Charlo brothers. And Charlo, in this case, I'm definitely a big fan. He's a throwback fighter. He's a tough fighter, has great skills, great attributes. I love his jab. I love his 1-2 combinations. I love the toughness. I love the meanness, and I love the grit. So Jermall Charlo is everything you could ask for in a fighter. He really is. But for some reason, he's been off of his game in his last couple of fights, and it happens to the best fighters. I'm not one of these people to just nitpick at every little thing. You know, both fighters that are in the ring, they're both professionals. So anything can happen in the ring, and I'm of the mindset of a win is a win, okay? So Jermall Charlo, very solid fighter. I wish he would fight more. Fighting once a year, it isn't going to cut it. He needs to fight more. At this point, both Charlo brothers need to be fighting 3 times a year, in my opinion. And so you don't want fans to forget about you. You don't want fans to get weary of sitting around wondering when your next fight is. And this seems to be a big problem in the sport today that I hope fixes itself, or someone steps up and fixes it. So, yes, Jermall Charlo is a solid fighter, is a tough fighter. And a couple of years ago, I would have argued that he deserves the fight. I was hoping he would at least get Triple G. I was hoping he would at least get Triple G. But he needs a big name on his resume. Whether it's Canelo, whether it's Triple G. I wish him and Andre would fight one another. They're both so busy chasing Canelo, and there's an opportunity right here that they're both missing. So on and so forth. I could go on and on. That's for another video. But at this point, Jermall definitely needs a true test or a big name. So I hope he gets that. But as far as his chances against Canelo, I hate to say it, his chances aren't too good from where I sit, because he's not getting that activity. He's not getting that experience. And I suspect that Canelo may be a bit too strong for him, for Charlo. Canelo is definitely more skilled, if I'm being honest. He has more skills, better defense, better stamina. And Canelo is just an all-around fighter. He can fight going forward. He can fight going backwards. He can fight at close range, mid-range, and long range. So for as much criticism as Canelo gets, I mean, he's just an all-around fighter. Even if you hate him, I mean, you have to acknowledge that. You definitely have to acknowledge it. So, yeah, I just see this being well, I won't say an easy fight for Canelo, but it's definitely a winnable fight for Canelo. Now, Charlo is tough, as I mentioned. He has that jab. He has that 1-2. I think Charlo is bigger than Canelo. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he may have the size thing. No, as far as the height, I'm not real sure. I'll just have to look it up. But Charlo is bigger than Canelo, height-wise, I believe. But so was Plant. So is Caleb Plant, who's better in my opinion. Now, that's not to knock Charlo, but Plant was a long, rangy, awkward fighter who gave Canelo movement. Caleb Plant had a nice little shoulder roll. He moves real good in the ring, and he lives up to his nickname, Sweet Hands. So, but my point is, Canelo still beat him. Canelo found a way to get to him. Canelo adjusted. He got close, and he finished the job. I mean, he got the job done. So, as good as Charlo is, he doesn't have the slickness of Caleb Plant. He doesn't have the movement of Caleb Plant. I mean, he does some decent things in there. Has some decent head movement. Some side-to-side stuff. Real good pressure fighter. And I mentioned his jab several times, and I've mentioned his 1-2 combinations several times, and he just has that toughness. And him and his brother not only look alike, they fight alike. So they're identical in the way that they fight, as well as the way that they look. So, Jermall is tough. He's tough. And if you hurt him, he's going to hurt you. And one thing I do like about Jermall is that he can catch you. He can catch you. And a lot of times I suspect that his opponents don't see his punches coming. So he can just hit you with something hard and heavy just out of the blue. So that's something that Canelo would definitely have to be careful about, which I suspect that he would, with his skills, with his ring IQ. So it can be a good fight. It can be a good fight. I don't think that Canelo, mauls him. I don't think this would be a one-sided affair. He could possibly stop Charlo late in the fight. I suspect that Charlo does have a good chin. But considering the toughness of Charlo and considering the skills of Canelo, you bring those together, I think Canelo wins a comfortable decision. I don't think he knocks Charlo out. Charlo's just too tough. And like I always say, fight night, you just never know. You just never know. The truth comes out on fight night and when both fighters are in the ring. And you know as well as I know, anything can happen in there. Absolutely anything. But just judging off of the things that I've seen from both fighters in the past, leading up to when this fight would take place. It's a hypothetical matchup at this point, but hopefully it would materialize at some point. I don't think Canelo owes anybody a shot, but I would like to just see good fights be made. But even without Charlo, I feel that Canelo's legacy is sealed, is solidified. But yes, it would be a good fight. Charlo would come to fight. Charlo doesn't come across as someone who would be scared to let his hands go. But I just think that Canelo edges him on the skills, the ring IQ, the experience, the defense. And a lot of people, they just won't acknowledge the skill set of Canelo Alvarez. He's just not a big brute that's just coming forward throwing hard punches. He has great defense. And what I like about Canelo is he has a real high, tight guard. And the way that he counters off of that high, tight guard, it's good. It's good. Canelo has used the shoulder roll in his fights. and the best counterpuncher in boxing right now, and among the top counterpunchers in the history of boxing. You know, so you just can't get in there and throw anything at Canelo and not pay for it. And so Canelo Alvarez by decision. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you will. And I will see you on the next video.